Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2005 here in TEW 2020. It's time for Fall Brawl 2005, live from basically a sold-out crowd in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri at the Scott Trade Center. As we got a little under 20,000 people here for a big card for the Revolution side of WCW. We've got Palumbo versus Roy Jr. for the title, AEW versus Hardy for the tag titles, Tricia Skye versus Joanie Laurer one more time, Women's War Games, and a St. Louis street fight between Booker and Cash, AJ Styles versus Billy Kidman, The Truth versus Lance for the U.S. title, Paul London versus RVD in a rematch, and Jamie Noble versus Keith Walker in an I Quit match. So big show, and that's what we open up with, is basically the video going over all those feuds, which gets us a 75, basically as we start things off. Basically we'll go through here, and let's get going with our first match of the show, which is a big one. As next up, we have a rematch from last month as Paul London takes on Rob Van Dam one more time. Of course, last month, Paul London got the big upset win over Rob Van Dam as part of his Van Dam Invitational after he officially aligned with Paul Heyman. And now these two men face off once again. And once again, it's a big time match between two of the best athletes on the WCW roster. As, we get, drop kicks, atomic drops right into Enziguris, Northern Light suplexes, big dives, tope con helos, springboard moonsaults, a side moonsault to the outside, big suplexes, lots of kicks from RVD trying to take advantage, hitting a cartwheel moonsault for a near fall, hitting the Rolling Thunder, hitting a, slingshot leg drop for a near fall, Paul London fighting back, hitting his own big moves, hitting a big tornado DDT, hitting a sort of drop salt for a near fall, going up top only for Paul London to be involved and distract him just long enough for RVD to come up, hit him with a top rope superplex for a near fall, more fighting, things go outside. The kendo stick gets involved, but ref doesn't miss it as Heyman is getting distracted. RVD takes advantage, hits his big DDT, hits a senton bomb, and then goes up top for the 5-star frog splash. But Paul London gets his knees up. The match continues. London takes advantage, actually goes up top, but hits his leg sweep DDT type maneuver, then goes up top, hits the 450 for a near fall. But RVD kicks out, just before 3 to a big pop, because, RVD still has his fans. But eventually, looks like RVD is going to, oops, let me make sure I have that. No, sorry, I need to double check something. Okay, yeah, RVD takes advantage, gets the advantage here, hits a big sort of like modified suplex, hits the Rolling Thunder again. He almost drops RVD, he almost nails London again with the 5-star frog splash. But London rolls out of the way, barely. Both men are down, and that's when Paul Heyman gets involved. He slides the chair in as he, yells at the ref. RVD basically recovers first, tosses the chair. Van Daminator goes up top. 5-star frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Rob Van Dam. So yeah, only an 83, because unfortunately, London got a 92, RVD got a 94 in a little over 20 minutes. So everything positive, except we had an inconsistency, and then we had a poor announcing and poor color commentary. But that shouldn't take off 10 points, which I hope it doesn't. If it does, that might mean it might be time to do a little bit of what we did in real life and bring in Tony Giovanni to be on all the shows, because I think Tenay is good enough still that he shouldn't get nailed for this. The Savage experience as a color commentator might be over at this point, but, what can you do? But anyway, post-match, RVD and Heyman celebrate as the announcers put over a big win for RVD as he tries to get back to the top of the company here in WCW. Next up is a big I Quit match as Keith Walker, of course backed up by Tori Wilson, takes on Jamie Noble. This goes back to the Mayhem Tournament, where Keith Walker got a big, what considered an upset win over Knoble, and Knoble got very upset from then, has been attacking Walker ever since, confronting him in his fighting pit. But, Walker has been very impressive. He has not had a loss in WCW except to AJ Styles in the Mayhem Tournament. Of course, he didn't win the Battle Royal, but as part of that action, he's been undefeated. And, he's a fighter, he's a brawler, and he wants to make Jamie Noble say I quit tonight, as Jamie Noble, who, went back to the, woods, and now is a, rougher, tougher, meaner guy. And this is what things are from the start. It's Walker doing his brawling, doing his, wild, sort of like quasi-MMA style, just punching, kicking, knee strikes as Wilson is on the outside. But Knoble comes back with his, quick hits. He's a smaller guy, so he has to, take his shots. Walker goes a little wild, and Knoble's actually able to hit a big belly to back suplex, and then hit a big, drop kick to the opponent's knees, lock him in a, couple of different moves here, tries to get him into some chokes, dragon sleepers, get it locked in body scissors to slow him down, but Walker's able to power him out. Walker fights back and has a big sort of gut wrench power bomb, and then goes on the assault with some big MMA style forearms. But Knoble turns into a cross arm breaker, which again Walker powers out of. But eventually Walker, it looks like Knoble is slowing him down as he hits some more drop kicks, locks it on a clover leaf, hits a high knee, and so working towards the trailer hitch, but Walker powers out. Eventually, looks like Knoble actually hits a big single hook he calls the pay dirt. Then he goes up top and actually hits a big knee drop off the top rope and locks in a cross arm bar again, but Walker barely is able to pick him up in a big slam. But then he sort of like goes low, hits a low blow, and then locks Walker in the trailer hitch. But Walker, he gets him old. He refuses to quit, and eventually Walker turns it around, reverses the trailer hitch, powers out, and just picks Knoble up with a big suplex, big lariat, big side slam, and just drops the pain on Knoble with forearm after forearm after forearm to his head. And eventually, Jamie Knoble has to say, "I quit" here at Fall Brawl. So solid match, gets a 71. Walker gets a 47. Knoble gets an 84. So here's some back of the booking theme here. I originally was going to put Knoble over here, but honestly, I don't have huge plans for him for the rest of the year. And this way give Walker a big win. Hopefully he gets a pop boost out of it. We'll see what he does for the rest of the year. But Knoble, I can sort of reset at any point. I mean, he's still really good and quite over. He was, of course, I had to protect him here, which is why I had him pick up most of the match until Walker basically powered out and just hit him with a few big moves. But then post-match, Walker and Tori celebrate to a 37, and we'll see if he's actually any over after this. We'll see. I did protect Knoble, so that might have hurt how much he got over. But, we'll just have to see here. Okay, let's move on. So before our next match, the US title match, the Truth comes out. This is, what's up, sing along as the crowd pops. This gets a 74. Basically, as the announcer set up, Truth defeated Mike Awesome for the US title on Nitro, and now, as a member of Revolution, Lance Storm tried to take him out, and now here's this US title match. Pretty simple, but here we go. And here's the thing, these guys go right after each other. This is, no second gear, no first gear. It's just, two top tier athletes going after each other in WCW. Lance Storm, former TV champion, former World Tag Team champion, former US champion in another regime. But, he's been a talented top member of the company ever since then. But yeah, these guys, it's a very, very good match. These are two men, who are honestly probably a little underrated. And I realize I'm looking at the dirt sheet. I forgot to add a storyline. That sucks. What can you do? Anyway, sorry. I just realized that. Anyway, but this is a fight. This is a brawl. This is two men. Storm wants to take the title back for the triumvirate. Truth wants to prove that he isn't a fluke champion. And, Storm tries to take him out with some drop kicks, lock him in a cloverleaf, but Truth powers out. Truth hits his big moves, punching, and hits sort of his spinning kick, hits a few big suplexes. Storm fires back. Locks him in, sort of hits a big super kick and then another big super kick and tries to lock him Canadian Maple Leaf again, but Truth powers out. Truth goes for the Truth of Consequences. Lance Storm gets out of it, rolls that into a rolling reverse cradle for a near fall, locks in a sort of chokehold submission of his own, but Truth gets out of it. Truth fights back, some more big moves. Truth avoids a big super kick, hits his sort of a spinning leg lariat, then hits the Truth of Consequences. And right in the middle of the ring, after about 15 minutes, the Truth picks up the pinfall win here at Fall Brawl and retains the United States title, like I said, in a little bit over 15 minutes. This gets a 76. Truth gets an 85. Storm gets an 83. Deserved better commentary, but what hurt this match was the lack of storyline, which I thought I had him as part of the Triumvirate storyline, but I think I forgot because he's on Nitro and they're on Revolution. So, again, you think after playing this game for literally hundreds, if not thousands of hours, I would not screw up like this, but hey, shit happens. What can you do? But big win for the Truth here. And then, he celebrates to a big pop as it gets a 68. As spread over, he is US champion. and he may have a long reign in front of him. And this is another feud that's sort of a quasi-direct result from the Mayhem tournament, as of course Cash got involved with Booker a little before that. Then Cash got involved sort of to make his mark and caused Booker to lose his son Siaki. And from there, their fight was on. Of course, Booker brought in Shelton Benjamin as a teammate to sort of help him out after Shelton debuted. But first, Cash, feud with Shelton for a bit. Cash teamed with Sonny Siaki, some tag matches, some six-mans, and now here they are, set up for a St. Louis street fight here in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri, and the fight is on basically straight from the start. This is not going to be a technical style match. This is two guys who don't like each other going right after each other right from the start, and that is obvious. These guys are not like, Cash is a very good wrestler, Booker's a very good worker, but they're both, Cash is never been in top tier and Booker's a little older, so this is not the, most fantastic match, but this is two men with lots of heat. Crowd absolutely despises Cash, loves Booker in sort of, the veteran champ way, and Booker throws him around, Matt basically immediately goes to the outside, goes to the guardrail, goes through the crowd, we get some spots, Booker hitting the spin-a-rooney, sort of on the arena floor to a big pop, smashing him, sending him through a, table in the back with where all your various, what's what I'm looking for, various equipment is. Cash comes out because I'm cheating, hits him with a chair, hits him with some other stuff, table gets set up. Cash sets it up, but ends up going through it when Booker's ready for him, and nails him with a back body drop. Eventually things go a little bit back towards the ring, but they're up on the ramp, and it allows Sonny Siaki to come in out of nowhere and absolutely drill Booker from behind. They hit a quick double team, and then Siaki runs away. Cash throws him, throws Booker, towards the, down the ramp, but, Booker fights back, but Cash is, has had the advantage. He sets him up for the dead level, but Booker blocks it, so, Cash goes drill him with again. But then, as Cash comes in for a chair shot, he nails him with a chair a couple times, and looks like he's going to hit him with a dead level through the table from the ropes. And then as he's setting that up, in comes Stevie Ray, who comes in, turns Cash around, slapjack, boom, big pop. Booker recovers, Cash stumbles around, bookend through the table, right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Booker picks up the victory here in the St. Louis street fight. So yeah, solid match. Like I said, great heat, only good wrestling. Booker defeats Cash. Sonny Siaki ran in, then Stevie Ray ran in. This only got a 75. Booker gets a 76. Cash gets a 77. Let's see what hurt this. Okay, inconsistency, poor gimmick from Booker. I may have to rework his gimmick. And then announce pen was for low. So actually, the announcers rolled well here, or the match just wasn't good enough for them for the limits to be hit. But yeah, honestly, I thought about putting Cash over here, but Booker has a little more to do. And plus, I want to keep him over enough that he's not I don't want to totally kill him just in case he's getting a little older now. And plus, Cash is Cash. He's sort of this mid-card, upper mid-card is probably his top he's going to get just because he doesn't like star quality or the stats. He can have good matches and he can be a U.S. title guy, but he's never going to be the guy. But anyway, post-match, Harlem Heat celebrate, 267. And also, here's another thing. Steve's contract is up in about 6 weeks and he's probably leaving, so this is a little quasi goodbye for him. Because I'm probably not going to give him, I might do an angle to sort of turf him out. Again, looking behind the Booker, Booker's room door here. But I haven't had much to do with him. He's I originally set up with Monty Brown a while ago, but Monty out popped him and sort of skilled him. So he was nothing else to do. And, he doesn't have the announcer skills in game. And plus, maybe I would have thrown him out on Saturday night, but I have other people doing that. So just sort of nothing to do. Kept him around, just keep Stevie Booker happy. But the good thing is in game, if you don't re-sign people don't get it up. Only if you fire people. So there you go. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. And it's time for the women's War Games match. First up, we have the first two women from each side coming down to the ring for the coin toss. So out comes first Nikita Kalt of European Disunion, former women's champion, cold, ice in her veins, all that good stuff. Then we have Nikki Ratcliffe, aka Nikki Rocks, part of the social scene, part of the tag team that won the tag titles in that triple threat match that helped really set up this match a few weeks ago, even though there's been sort of underlying heat for the past couple months between sort of all the women tag teams, European Disunion, Captivation getting involved, sort of thinking they're above the newcomers and all that fun stuff. And of course, it looked like it was going to be 4 and 5, but, a social scene found ODB, and here we are. But they come out, they flip the coin. Of course, the heels win because I know how to book a friggin' War Games match. So, gets set 61. Not going to show you guys just because a quick segment. And then we're off to the War Games match itself. So, really fun match, So, first up, of course, like I said, is Nikita Kalt and Nikki Ratcliffe. And here's the thing. Nikki Kalt's a former women's champion. Nikki Ratcliffe is a rising star, but she's still getting there. And that's sort of the problem. Is they sort of Nikki just takes her part in ring. Nikki is sort of a bundle of nerves and trying to fight back. But the problem is Nikita Kalt is Nikita Kalt and Nikki Ratcliffe is not Nikita Kalt. And it really is she's just dominating her. But Ratcliffe gets a little bit of offense as the time that reached. And out comes, of course, Nikki Kalt's partner in European Union, Wesena Busic. And it does not look good for Nikki Ratcliffe as it's 2-on-1. And, what you could argue is the best women's tag team in pro wrestling today, even if they aren't the champs, just taking apart Nikki Ratcliffe for 2 minutes. Ratcliffe tries her best to fight back, but it is very, very, very difficult to take on, one woman with skill of Nikita Kalt, let alone a former tag team champions in the form of Kalt and Busic. But what Nikki Ratcliffe have to do is she has to survive and wait, of course, for her partner, Annie Vidal, aka Annie Social, to come out, and then from there, it's a fight, as it's the tag team champions going 2-on-2 with the team they beat, even though you could argue they got some help from Captivation in that triple threat, as everybody disliked everybody. But Nikita fights back with some brawling, hitting some big lariats, some double teams. Annie Social comes in House of Fire, hitting a modified stunner on both women, hitting a sort of big running drop kick, some double team moves on Busic, then some double teams on Kalt as the crowd pops. Eventually hits sort of a double team maneuver where Annie Social goes up the second rope as Nikki Ratcliffe hits a picture up for an Alabama slam. And Social comes down with a big leg drop to a big pop, which as that comes out, the buzzer rings, out comes the third person coming down to the ring, no other than Angel Foxx. Angel Foxx, of course, you better know her better as Angelina Love. But big pop for Foxx. Well, heel heat as she is a former women's champion, even though she's been part of Captivation for the last little bit. But it's time for her to fight, and she, of course, is a very committed, talented wrestler, and she comes down. And she goes right after the faces here, and she goes right after Annie Social, and she hits her with a quick running with a big spear, takes her down with a spin wheel kick, hits her just takedown. Vidal tries to fight back, but Vidal gets beaten down. Ratcliffe tries making save, but European Union go attack on her and actually lock her in a double submission, as then Angelina Foxx picks her up, hits her with the oh god, what did I call it? I forgot what I call it. I forgot to check it. She hits her finisher, which is a modified STO, right on Vidal as the buzzer rings, and in comes a third person in the ring, none other than part of another tag of the newcomers here, Roni Jonah. She comes down and she's a House of Fire, going right after all three women, just ball of fire, break up the submission, which allows Nikki Ratcliffe to get some, fight in herself. Eventually, the babyfaces get advantage. Nikki Ratcliffe hits a big sort of spine buster on Wesena Busic, where Jonah comes down from the top, stage dive, big splash to a pop. Nikita Kalt tries to go after Annie Vidal, but Vidal nails her with the modified stunner. Nikki Ratcliffe hits a big sort of a sunset flip, and babyfaces look like they have the advantage, but the heels come back, and it's a big, six-way brawl for the buzzer rings. And in comes a fourth woman, your friend and mine, Lexi James. And Lexi James comes in and she goes after all the women, taking them out, all the babyfaces, grabs Nikki, turns it around, kick wham, Lexi DDT, grabs Annie Vidal, kick wham, Lexi DDT, turns around, Lexi DDT, all three women are down, and the beatdown is on. It's 4-on-3, and this is just a heel segment, all four women going after three babyfaces. But then the crowd pops as out comes Lyla Vivaz, aka Lacey from Ring of Honor, in this reality, in our reality, in this reality it is, and she comes out of House of Fire. She's undersized, but she fights with heart, and it's a 4-on-4 brawl. He'll still seem to have an advantage here, but it's still going pretty well for the baby faces. But then in comes the last one, Lacey Dumas, our brother's Lyla, and she comes in, and she's just a veteran heel, just going after the knees, going after the arms, picking them up, twist of fate. Babyface at the advantage. Then we get a big finish here as on the first woman in on Nikki Ratcliffe. We get a that STO Lexi DT. Then Lizzy Dumas goes up top, moonsault, boom, big heel pop as faces try to gain advantage. But it's the numbered game, 5-on-4, and the crowd counts down 3, 2, 1. In comes the fifth woman, ODB, and she's a House of Fire, and she's probably honestly biggest woman here, and she's just this is a pure I'm sure Dusty walked her through the exact spots to do, and she just comes in brawling, elbow, punch, tosses, picks up who's probably like Angel Love. Picks her up, press slam, throws her into the other ring. Same thing with Nikki Kalt. Same thing with Lexi James. She's a House of Fire, and that's sort of how the rest of the match is. As both women, all 5 teams are going after each other. But eventually, what's going on is bit by bit, the heels are in one ring, most of the faces are in the other. ODB's acting as sort of like a way to get the heels out, and trapped on the other side is Angel Foxx. Angel is fighting her best, but eventually it's 3-on-1. It's the tag team champions, Annie Vidal. It's Roni Jonah. And it's Nikki Ratcliffe. And eventually, we see, as ODB and to a lesser extent, Annie Vidal fight off the heels as they try to make, their own way in. Big sort of pop-up powerbomb from Nikki Ratcliffe, stage dive from Roni Jonah. Then Annie Vidal walks in a modified submission move, Kensington mouthwash, or maybe Hampton mouthwash, something I forgot to pick up new, but some sort of submission move, some sort of rear naked choke. And here's the thing: there's nowhere for Angel Foxx to go, but she does not want to quit. But the beatdown is happening. The heels come in for one last rush. They faces fight them off. Leaving maybe it's a miscommunication between resistance and captivation. And with nowhere to go, finally, Angel Foxx, after a little under 20 minutes, has to tap out. And your winners are the babyfaces in a little under 20 minutes. So this gets a 62, which is better than I thought it would go. So going overall, Angel Foxx 63, Wesena Busic 65, Nikita Kalt 75. Yes, she's probably underused. Lizzy Dumas 68, Lexi James 60. Then we have his ODB in her debut getting 46. Roni Jonah getting 48. Nikki Ratcliffe getting 54. And Vidal getting a 62. Lyla gets a 50. So, this is sort of a pop transfer, and also just a way to get over. But then something interesting happens post-match. Babyfaces celebrate. They leave the ring. Everybody's happy. European Deuce Union sort of slink away. But Captivation are all there. And, they're hoping up, Angel Foxx up. And then, well, it happens. Lizzy, makes the same little Lexi. Yes. Kick. Wham. Lexi DT. Lizzy Dumas goes up top. Moonsault. And it looks like Angel Foxx is out of Captivation. And that got a 56. So, So, first, we're also changing her gimmick to a brunette bad bitch just because her gimmick was bad, so very good. And then, we're turning her babyface. And her gimmick is also getting changed to Foxy Girl, which still gets an adequate. Again, she was... Yeah, I don't care. If the game hurt people more for their turns, if they're disasters, I would maybe care more, but it doesn't, so here we are. But a big moment here, as Captivation now seems like a team, and Angel Foxx might be a babyface, if anybody cares about her as a babyface. We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens there. As we move on here, at Fall Brawl, after a big Women's War Games match. But before the next match, we have our Halloween Havoc commercial. Basically, spooky commercial, Canyon, Sean O'Hare, Kaz, Ric Flair, Bill Goldberg, all the stars. gets to 74. Unfortunately, I forgot to put two people in the same storyline together, so that hurt a little bit. But shit happens. What can you do? But yeah, now we're moving on to the next match. Just like sort of next pay-per-view, which trying to do is like a little more realistically. But like I did notice, like I don't know. Again, there's just different companies, but WCW like had far less like random commercials, even at the same time as WCW did. WWE did. Like WWE was even back in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. Well, I mean, obviously WCW wasn't around, but like even at the same time, like WCW, like I don't know. Maybe that's why WWE survived, because they actually knew how to do integration. Anyway, I'm rambling. On to our next match. Next match is a very interesting match. It's sort of a combination of a prove yourself match and sort of like the next step. And of course, AJ Styles won the Mayhem tournament and now has the called shot. And Billy Kidman is your former world champion. And as part of the various tag teams, six mans, they began fighting and now sort of setting up. Nothing too fancy here. Like this is no deep super storyline. This is just Kidman's a cocky heel who still thinks he's the top of the game. AJ Styles is your rising star. And here we go, live on pay-per-view. And it is a sort of like slow start, as these two men work each other out. I honestly forget if they've had a singles match before, maybe way back, as well as doing the Kidman's rise, and AJ was part of a tag team, maybe. But regardless, AJ is a whole new man. He's a rising star. He's the called shot. He has the called shot, but still, he's wary of Kidman. Kidman, whether you like him or not, he's a former world champion, and he's very impressive. So he slows things down. Tries to take apart Styles, but Styles fights back. Styles is a little bigger. Styles is Kidman's a little bigger, so he tries to do some power stuff. But he's not so much, bigger that it really matters. Styles fights back, and eventually, Kidman gets a couple big moves that don't hold. Hits a big sort of modified modified snap suplex. Hits a big knee strike. Starts to go after Styles next. Hits a sort of fireman's carry driver. Hits a DDT, and eventually, Styles himself fights back as Kidman tries to lock him into the Kid Crusher early, but Styles fights back. Hits a quick drop kick. Hits his own belly to back suplex. Hits a sort of vertical suplex into a slam. Then hits sort of the springboard knee drop for a near fall. Goes for a brainbuster, but Kidman gets out of it. Turns it into his own suplex, fisherman style, for a near fall. Styles breaks out of that. Does his own fighting. Hits. Styles fights back, hits a few DDTs, doesn't quite hit his moonsault DDT yet, but fights back, throws Kidman to the outside, big planche to the outside, points at April Hunter on the outside, as then he hits Kidman with a running, what's what I'm looking for here, discus close on the outside. He picks up Kidman for another suplex on the outside, but Kidman is ready for him, hits a low blow, sends back in, throw into the corner, big belly back suplex, locks in a submission hold, locks in another one, but AJ fights back, sets him up for the Kid Crusher, but again, AJ blocks it, turns it into a backslide eventually. Then AJ sort of does this thing where he hits the punches and kicks the thigh, then a back fist, then a lariat for a near fall, goes for a backbreaker into the powerbomb for another near fall. Then he sort of locks in the then a little frustrated, he goes to the outside, hits it, moonsault DDT for the big near fall, big pop, sets up the Styles Clash, Kidman blocks it, and Kidman goes low, eventually takes advantage, hits a sort of modified cutter, picks him up, AJ right in the middle of the ring, Kid Crusher, 1, 2, AJ gets his foot on the ropes, Kidman turns him to the middle of the rope, AJ fights back, Kidman goes for a Tiger Bomb, AJ turns it into a Rana. AJ takes over, hits sort of a version of phenomenal forearm. Then AJ himself hits a big sort of hits a sort of kip up Frankensteiner, goes up top, big sort of flying crossbody for a near fall. Then Kidman sort of fights back, hits takes advantage again via heel work, hits a huge brainbuster on Styles, goes for the Kid Cutter. Kid Crusher, nails it, but then he goes up top, shooting star press. AJ gets his knees up and locks Kidman into sort of a modified leg hold, but Kidman barely gets to barely gets to the ropes. Kidman pokes Styles in the eye, takes advantage, goes for another Kid Crusher. AJ fights him off, and then AJ takes advantage. Kidman goes low, but AJ's ready for him. AJ fights back. Abraham tries to get involved. AJ pushes her off. Kidman rushes. Kidman hits the corner. Modifies sort of like Chaos Theory German suplex. Phenomenal forearm. Moonsault to DT. Styles Clash. 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles defeats a former world champion in Billy Kidman, and one of the biggest wins of his career. 88. AJ gets a 98, so Kidman gets a 93. Definitely lack of psychology. I mean, yes, it's AJ Styles in 2005 and Billy Kidman. Like, a little bit spotty, which I hope I say we're out here. Kidman was off his game. I guess he didn't want to do the job, even though he didn't complain about it. They have great chemistry, which is interesting. Deserve better announcing. Yeah, what can you do? But yeah, so AJ is celebrating when out of nowhere, down comes Monty Brown, and he just drills him with a pounce. Kidman slowly gets up, sort of does like a heel smirk smile, then Monty Brown kills him with a pounce. So Monty Brown, very pissed off that he's not on the show, and he just delivers a beat down to two men who are tired. But a big moment here is Monty Brown takes both men out, and it looks like, he's not happy about not being part of the top of the card here at Fall Brawl. Was this just a reason to get him on the show? Maybe, maybe not. You'll never know. 84, good stuff. But yeah, I mean, good. I was always going to put AJ over. Unfortunately, yeah, I really need to think about maybe replacing my announcers. But I don't want to, I want the split. I don't want to do the thing where I just put Shivani on both shows because he's a better announcer. But I might also need a better announcer. Anyway, regardless, big match. AJ moves on. Another big win for him here in WCW. Next up, it's time for a big women's title match as Tricia Skye defends her title for the third time against Joanie Laurer. Of course, she defeated Laurer back in March. Joanie basically hadn't been seen since, not back in March. I have to double check, but back in the summer, I think. Joanie's come back after a couple months, went right after Tricia Skye. Basically says, she doesn't need to attack her, do anything super heelish. She just proves she's the evolution of women's wrestling, and Tricia Skye disagrees. And these are two women, but here's the thing, these, it's not a total fight here. There's no hate. There was hatred a few months back, but there's no hate. These are two men who both want to prove their best, and they're wary about each other. Joanie, of course, is wary of Tricia's power. Tricia's wary of Joanie's wary of Tricia's skills. Ability to hit the not Sky's limit, not satisfaction. That's copyrighted. And so we get a little feeling out for the first couple minutes, but eventually things sort of kick into high gear as Joanie takes advantage. They big boot, throws Tricia around into both corners, hits a big lariat, big boot. Picks her up for the powerbomb, which turns into a Rana for a near fall. Tricia's back on offense, hits a big bulldog, hits sort of her quasi-matrix kick, goes up top, actually hits a tornado DT for a near fall, hits a big sort of diving modified blockbuster on Joanie for a near fall, actually throws her into the outside and hits a modified suicide dive to a big pop, but Joanie catches her, which is unfortunate, and Joanie just smashes her against the barrier. Joanie takes advantage, throws her over the ringside table, throws her back inside. Another big boot. Goes for the powerbomb again. But at the last moment, Tricia turns into, sort of an X Factor. Both men sort of stumble up. Tricia nails her with Sky's the Limit. And then knowing, that's not enough, waits for Joanie to get up again and hits her with a second Sky's the Limit. 1, 2, 3. Your winner and still WCW Women's Champion, Tricia Skye. So, fun stuff. 78, which isn't our best women's match, but Joanie is a little mad about doing some jobs. This, this was the storytelling match, because I didn't think of anything better. Maybe the Knoble Walker match could have been a storytelling match, but what can you do? So this maybe could have been an 81, 82, and of course we still had the, did we have the bad? Yeah, well, low experience for the announcing, but yeah. A little bit lack of heat, which, I sort of get, because this is basically Joanie throwing back and saying I get the title shot because I'm Joanie Laurer. But yeah, interesting stuff here. So what happens is, of course, Tricia is celebrating, Joanie's recovering, and out comes European Disunion. And European Disunion is stalking to the ring, and it's obvious they're done with the tag division. Nikita Kalt wants her women's title back after nearly a year, and they go right after the fallen Tricia Skye, and then Joanie Laurer turns around, and she throws Busic off Tricia, turns Nikita Kalt around with a lariat, and European using scattered, and then Joanie helps Tricia Skye up, hold your hands up, and we got a babyface turn. So yeah, handle changes, turn babyface. There you go. Yeah, I don't care. But yeah, this gets a 90. So the reality is Joanie didn't have she fought all the big time faces she could. This allows her to do a little bit work with some other heels, including these girls, maybe Captivation, Joanie Laurer versus Lyla, basically, But yeah, big moment here. And plus, honestly, the other thing is Joanie's still really over, but as you can see, her stats aren't the best, so sort of got to work that out as well. But yeah, good stuff. As we move on to our next match. Wait, that wasn't our next match. It's time for a big commercial as we have the announcement of our November pay-per-view, which, of course, remember, it used to be Mayhem, but I moved Mayhem to August. Got Clash of the Champions off the schedule. And our next November pay-per-view, which is going to be a co-branded pay-per-view as sort of the build-up to Starrcade, it's going to be Bound for Glory. Yeah, we're stealing the name. It's fine. Basically, just people talking about being bound for glory, whether it's AJ Styles, Mike Awesome, The Truth, Morningstar, all sort of fun stuff. Get 73 just gets a commercial, but yeah, fun stuff. And now we're on to our tag team title match. So yeah, Hardy's defending the tag titles, of course. As a big surprise, Hardy returning, Matt Hardy arriving, win the tag titles. Eventually, AMW, former tag team champions, think they're the top dogs in the division. Two bases fighting if there's been a little bit of tension, and that's sort of this match. These are four men who all think, they're part of the best tag team in the world. Matt's happy being back at the top of the game of the tag division, after doing what he was doing in WWF after Jeff left. Jeff, hopefully not high. But, it's Hardy's versus AMW in 2005. It's very much what you'd expect, including not a lot of psychology, which is unfortunate, but, that's my fault for having them try to keep it in the ring. So there's some, wacky spots here, some no-selling, but, everybody gets their stuff. Harris and Storm do their brawling. Hardy, Jeff does the whisper in the wind. There's some tables involved. There's some wacky suplexes involved. Matt hits the side effect and it gets an inexplicably big pop despite never getting a pinfall. Harris and Storm do some, double teaming. Storm hits the 8-second ride for a near fall. Harris hits the catatonic for a near fall. Hardy comes back, hits a swanton bomb, but there's a save at the last second. But here's the thing. Eventually, there is a ref bump, but no shenanigans. Well, in a sense, no shenanigans. But, there's a fight, before they realize the ref is down. Storm and Harris actually hit their double team maneuver, but Harris goes over and checks on the ref before going, and the ref finally recovers. He goes for the pinfall. There's no ref, but Hardy still kicks out. But you could argue, A, if the ref was around, he would have got the 3 count, or B, even if he would have just gone for the near fall, he would have the visual pinfall. Match continues. Hardy's actually get the advantage back just as the ref recovers. Again, no shenanigans, no chair shots, no table shots, nothing else, just two men, two teams fighting. And here's the thing. Hardys are the Hardys. Twist of fate, swanton bomb, 1, 2, 3, Hardys win. And this is sort of a disappointment. This only gets an 83. Let me see. Storm gets an 88. Sarah gets an 80. Matt gets a 91. Jeff Hardy gets 100. Jeff, please, I want you off the drugs. If you get off the drugs, you'll be like my number one babyface. It'll be you and AJ and Ray Jr. having awesome matches for the next couple of years. If I could just trust you to do more than just be the tag guy. But yeah, match like psychology, color commentary, and yeah, some lack of heat from the storyline, but also we had a lack of psychology. Because I did have it called in the ring, because I thought these guys would handle it, but I think there was one guy under 80 who wouldn't handle it. But hey, still a very fun match. And post-match, there's a little bit of tension. Hardy's, Storm and Harris are upset, but eventually, they basically, sort of put a quick hand on Hardy's shoulders, say we'll get you next time. They walk away as Hardy celebrate. As youngsters put over the success of the Hardys so far here in WCW. And now it's time for our main event. And first out comes Chuck Palumbo. Garyu, the guy who should have been world champion a long time ago. The guy who actually, out of the Palumbo O'Haire breakup, has actually ended up the better guy. because his stats aren't falling randomly. The guy who's sort of been the top heel of Revolution since Revolution was a show. Even over Kidman, since he was sort of like on both shows, like with Raven Raine. Like, just sort of like, again, I did not expect to push him this hard. Like, I expected maybe he would be a mid-card, upper mid-card heel, but he's been like really good. And now he's coming out for his world title shot after winning the Revolution Royale and basically saying, telling Ray Jr. he's not going to be able to pull it off. And speaking of Ray Jr., here comes the world champion. Today puts over, the first masked man, the first luchador to be a world champion here in a major United States promotion. I guess Eddie isn't considered a youth luchador, but hey, we'll go with it. Mike Tenay even like shoots a little and puts over, tells the story of basically, there are a lot of wrestlers, many of them who are not in this company anymore, who are laughing at Ray Jr. the first time he came out to a wrestling ring, to a WCW ring in 1997. They are wild then, and now today he's a WCW world champion going against Chuck Palumbo. A's for that, and now it's time for the match. Here we go. Yes, it's Ray Jr. with the big gold. Thank God, in a way, thank God WWE kept that belt and had him actually win it, because I didn't get that picture. Anyway, moving on. Main event. Two men. What more different could you be? The masked underdog wrestler from Mexico, and the guy who came up through the power plant, and, turned heel on his partner. And here's the thing. Chuck Palumbo has said a lot of crap about Ray Jr. the past couple weeks, and Ray Jr. comes out of House of Fire going right after Chuck Palumbo. Like, just as the bell rings, Ray runs in, basically, like, does a springboard Rana right from the top of the match, and then goes, arm drag, head scissors, tilt-a-whirl, quick little Bronco Buster in the corner after Palumbo, and springboard face buster, Lutha's press, tilt-a-whirl, victory roll. Like, he's just a engine of offense right from the start, knowing that, if Palumbo can slow him down, that might be the match. So he battles. But eventually, unfortunately, he goes for one more springboard, and Palumbo has him. He stops it, he grabs him, overhead belly to belly, big shoulder block, big boot, picks him up right into a big lift, right into a big Samoan drop, and then as Ray Jr. recovers, big jungle kick / super kick, and that gets a near fall. Palumbo goes back on offense, slows things down, working Ray down, working on his neck, working on his, working on his back, bit by bit, going after, slowing Ray down, trying to take it all away from him, knowing that, basically there's nothing really that Ray can do once he's on offense like this. He locks in a big inverted Boston Crab. Ray Jr. fights out of the way. He gets to the ropes, but he's down. Ray picks him up, goes for the full throttle immediately, but Ray Jr. turns it into a rolling reverse cradle. Then Ray's back on offense. Big kick to send him onto the outside. So this suicide dive right on the outside. Runs the ring barrier a la Jeff Hardy into a Frankensteiner. Hits a baseball slide on the outside into the tables. Big crossbody, just scrambling up to the ring apron, springboard, second rope, moonsault, boom on Palumbo. Throwing Palumbo back in, going up to the top rope. Raven Raine finally getting involved, shaking things up, and Ray Jr. crouches himself on the top rope. And then Palumbo tosses Ray from the top rope onto the floor. Another big lariat. Picks him up, sit down powerbomb for a near fall. Another big suplex. And then he picks him up, and he goes for the full throttle. But again, Ray Jr.'s not quite ready, and he sort of gets out of it at the last possible second, and, turns it into, not quite a backslide, but sort of like just getting out of the match. Not getting out of the move. But Palumbo's still on offense. And he's, going for the fight. He's going for the brawl. He's, trying to take him out. But Ray's fighting back. Slowly, but surely. But the problem is, Palumbo's just bigger. Like, that's the thing. Big man, little man. Big man's really good, though, and that's a problem. But Ray Jr. But it really looks like Palumbo is going to do it as he picks up Ray Jr. and gets him in the grunge position for the full throttle. but Ray is fighting out. If he's elbowing it, Palumbo's stumbling around, and there's a ref bump. This is not great. Ray Jr. goes to check on the ref. Of course, Palumbo's being Palumbo. He is very annoyed. But eventually a second ref comes down. Raven Raine comes in, tries to toss Palumbo with the belt, but Ray Jr. actually is ready and nails him with a dropkick. He hits him with another big move, and Ray Jr. is in position. Well, Palumbo's in position on the second rope. He runs around, whips around, boom! 619. Hits him with the West Coast pop, boom! And then, knowing that's going to be enough, Ray Jr. scrambles up to the top rope. He dives from the top into a hurricanrana as the other ref is recovering. And the other ref is sort of like on the outside, like right by the ropes. And the other referee is sort of right in front of him as they go for the pinfall after the big Rana. And 1, 2, 3. Ray Jr. picks the victory. Palumbo's tried, but Ray Jr. has done it. He has held off Chuck Palumbo. Wait. The other ref is talking to the ref. Wait, he's like the original ref is telling, and we see a replay. Palumbo's foot was on the rope, but the second ref was so worried about getting the pinfall right, he didn't see it. Ray's confused. Palumbo from behind drops him with a big, basically like big forearm to the back, knocks him down. The ref is calling for a restart of the match. Ray Jr. can't do anything. Palumbo picks him up, gets him in position, gut wrench, boom, full throttle. 1, 2, 3. Your winner and new WCW World Champion is Chuck Palumbo. So 88, Ray Jr. gets a 96 because he's freaking awesome. Palumbo gets an 86. Deserve better announcing, which is interesting. Let's see here. Very hot crowd. Ray Jr. poor gimmick, but yeah. Again, another behind the booking door here. Originally, the original booking I was going to do was actually that finish was going to happen, but Ray Jr. was going to be the winner. Like, the ref was going to see it, and basically what's going to happen is, like, on the next Revolution, we were basically going to get a sit-down strike from Palumbo. We were going to get Palumbo just killing Ray Jr. after this match, and then, like, Palumbo, like being a total, like, A1 asshole on Revolution, basically, like, talking Ray into, like, a rematch on the next Revolution, then Palumbo gets the title there. But I figured, like, this would allow Ray an out. And let's be clear here. There's people, like, who follow this series who would be happy about this, but the internet would despise. Like, okay, the internet despised Ray Jr. as actual world title reign. Imagine, like, I mean, I guess they're a little happier because, like, this isn't, like, WWE top of the card. But Ray Jr.'s just won the world title. He holds it for 1 month, and he immediately drops it to Chuck Palumbo. Again, Palumbo, I think, would be more over because I've got a good character for him, but it's still Chuck Palumbo winning the world title from Ray Jr. in 2005. And there would be a segment of the internet very, 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 very unhappy. But, it's worth it. Ray Jr., sort of rolls to the outside. Raven Raine comes in. Palumbo is celebrating. And now just putting over what a moment this is. Chuck Palumbo has risen to the top. And just like his former partner has finally become a world champion, he's celebrating when, oh yeah, okay, I can't do the song, but AJ Styles comes out, and he points right at Chuck Palumbo, and it seems like, he's not cashing in, but he's making it clear that's gonna happen real damn soon. So here we are, 84, and overall, I'm gonna guess this show gets like an 86, 87? 87, okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so, overall. Jeff, you did great. Please don't get popped for drugs. Ray Jr., thanks for doing the job without a problem. And honestly, actually, Billy, you did the job without a problem. So great stuff. Great stuff, guys. So yeah, there we go. I mean, it's going to be hilarious if, hey, Pete Cass, he's terrible. But yeah, it would be hilarious if he got popped for drugs after I just gave him, like, wow, you gave props to Jeff when he was high off his ass. But yeah, let's just see what happens here. We're going to do the usual post stuff where we check out people's overness, see if anything weird happened with that. But we'll just see. Like, It's interesting. Survey says. Ooh. All right, Fall Brawl. Yay, everybody's happy. All right, Johnny Ace. Johnny. A woman. She is a woman who's a manager. Did you get that? You're scumbag enough, you should know that. Anyway. Yeah, anyway, time to heal. Yes, Lance. This is, I mean, it's weird. Sorry. Fall Brawl. What's Fall Brawl? Drug test. Okay, nobody got popped for it, which is good. Let's see here. Anything else of note, really, I wanted you guys to see? Not yet. That'll be the usual stuff. So yeah, storyline-wise, so if we go to Revolution, After gets at an 80. David versus Goliath is at an 88. This Universe's Order is at a 62. Helping Your Understudies at a 66. Joanie's Back's at a 78. Knoble Strikes Back at a 71. New Rivals is at a 79. Revolution Rising is at an 87. Tag Title Fuse at an 83. So if I just want to search from folks here. So if we limit things to Revolution, first let's say no brand. So the Truth. Yeah. So just so you guys, like, Truth, it's weirdly, he's actually got a little less popular, which tells me maybe his pop caps, interesting. In fact, like, I didn't job him, but his pop, interesting. Actually, so now I forget. Okay, I guess he and AJ lost Storm and Kidman, so maybe that's why he dropped a little bit, but yeah, still, he's, like, really over. And let's see here, what else? Ray Jr., like, yeah, he lost 2 points, but, like, that just means he's back where he was a couple months ago before winning the title. Jeff and Matt. Oops, that's the match history, not popularity. Again, if he could just not be a druggie, I would be so much happier. And then, again, Matt, super over, like, big wins, huge stuff. And then if we go to Revolution, okay. AJ Styles, it's just, like, yeah, he's their brother. Billy Kidman, actually, shockingly, back up, like, now more popular than almost he was his whole new world title reign, sure. Chris Harris, about where he's been. James Storm, let's see here. Again, just for my own sanity, I'm going to split this in male and female. And yes, James Storm, again, about the same popularity he's been basically since the beginning of the year. Let's see here. Chuck Palumbo. Oh, nope, that's Dusty Rhodes. I was like, wow. Nope, that's Dean Malenko. Okay. There we go. So yeah, Palumbo's up. Like, world champion. He's done it. Let's see here. Booker T still, like, Booker's still stupidly over. So, like, yeah, that's the other reason why I didn't job him, because, like, he's, like, stupidly over. I might, like, redo his gimmick again, like, just risk that. Let's see here. Anybody? Okay, Heath Walker. How much do you get help by? Okay, I mean, he's at least in the range, but I don't know how much, like, Again, I brought him up, so I want to push him, but I just want to see, like, if he does anything. Ken Anderson probably is a little bit upset because I didn't leave him on the show. Let's see here. Paul London, did you gain or lose anything? Okay, I mean, still over. Van Dam, Van Dam, about the same. And yeah, that's about it. So we go over to our woman. Let's see here. Joanie. Yeah, I mean, she jobbed to another top woman, so I'm not shocked by that. She didn't lose any popularity. Tricia. Yeah, and she actually gained a little bit. Let's see here. Wesena Busic. So she was at, like... Okay, so she didn't lose anything. Roni Jonah, did you gain a lot from winning this match? Unfortunately, not really. I mean, it's sad, but not really. ODB, did you gain a lot from actually being in this match? I mean, you're a little more over, so that's good. Nikki Ratcliffe. Okay, actually, a solid amount over, I guess, because you were part of the win. Nikki. Okay, I mean, actually more over, which is interesting. Lyla Vivaz. About the same, if not a little less over in some areas, which is interesting. Lizzy Dumas. About the same. Lexi James. Okay, it's really weird she's just not that over at all. Like, I don't know what's going on. Let's see here, who else? Vidal, who actually got the win. Okay, I mean, she got the win, so she's like actually somewhat decently over here now. Let's see here. Angel Foxx, let's see here. Did your turn hurt you a little bit because of the bad gimmick? Okay, I guess bad turns do actually hurt your overness a little bit, just not enough that it matters. Anyway, that's sort of the show here. Title-wise, of course, your new world champion, Chuck Palumbo. The world tag champions is the Hardys. So world TV champion is Ken Anderson. Still your US champion is The Truth. And the women's world champion is Tricia Skye. And that's where we are. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and give a like. Comment below or liking, not liking. And this sort of pointless to do at the end of the show. But if you're one of the other 2 people who finished in second or third, I did email you about the Mayhem Tournament prediction contest. So when you have a shot, get back to me. If you just want to like say, you're a little confused about some options, that's fine. But, we're still 2 months out, so still plenty of time for any booking, and obviously a lot of the other questions don't need an immediate response. But hey, do what you wish. But anyway, that's it for now. So, if you like this, comment below, subscribe to the channel for plenty of other TEW 2020 content, including this series. Hopefully I'll get the Ring of Honor series and the other stuff building back up, Journey Wrestling, Basketball GM. Again, it's summer, it's nice out. I don't want to be inside all that much. That's it, so talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.